So continuing here, finishing up with part 2 of the secrets of the royal wedding astrology of Prince William, as today is April 27th, 2011, and we're just was talking about the Magi astro chart, the aspect of the Sun trine Jupiter that Prince William was born with. So while he is in one way certainly can be considered to have a great, powerful aspect as in terms of being a man of peace or luck, and certainly with an incredible amount of protection astrologically, just energetically. The fixed star that he has in the matrix Paran Saturn rather demands that the topic of this video of royal wedding astrology be used practically, and especially in the same way that he was born with the Sun trine Jupiter, and that he should wed with that or something similar on a day with those powerful protective aspects. But that's not what's happening here. If it actually happens, if it actually the wedding is actually going to take place April 29th, 2011 in London at 10 a.m., what happens is that their wedding, first of all, on a day of Saturn opposition Venus. Wouldn't want that in a wedding. That's nothing good for matters of love and romance. In fact, it can be a little problematic on the money. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, the progressions that this wedding chart sets up for the marriage itself is horrible. Saturn retrograde quincunx to the Sun. Not only that, it's going on the next year or so, or maybe more. I haven't tracked that out, but I already know, and I've posted previously, back as far as April 18th, that there is May 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, there's a very stressful Saturn opposition Mars that turns into a T-square with a Vesta in May that's coming up. So this wedding of Prince William, this royal wedding that they obviously been advised in terms of the astrology, I'm going to assume royal astrologers, is very problematic in that respect, because the progressions that the wedding chart sets up are such that if it's not going to already be experiencing some sort of internal crises or some element of tragedy or energy that's tragic in the next few years, it definitely and certainly in the something in terms of maybe the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th year, it would just be incredibly stressful, and a lot of fighting and belligerency and things like that. So I just really am disappointed in the royal astrologers on this one. And my intuitive sense was that whoever advised this, or didn't advise against it, has a complete lack of sensitivity and is a very selfish advisor. That's all I can say about that, because certainly the issue of power and is there. Although even if one was trying to get a power, the Sun separating from Pluto, we'd want that to be in trine without separation for maximum effect. So in these ways, and I know I'm not looking at midpoints, and I'm not going to go into that now, because the problems that I've just mentioned in the progressions and the Saturn opposition Venus on the wedding day itself, even though, as I mentioned and pointed out, there is a great conjunction, almost magical conjunction, in the heliocentric sky on April 29th, the Saturn opposition Venus in the geocentric chart of the wedding, the progressions of Saturn retrograde quincunx to the Sun, in knowing and keeping in mind Prince William's Vinda matrix Paran Saturn in his fixed stars chart, to me, this is very problematic all the way around. I don't like it. My advice and suggestion very strongly to the royal family or to the advisors to them on such affairs would be that they simply delay this and put this off and reset this for later in the year. I'm not going to get into the exact dates that would be favorable, but certainly much, much more favorable. I already know of a few. And certainly we'd want to look at the personal transits of Kate and Prince William. So that said, this is one of the most important teachings that we can benefit from. That is the wedding chart, the wedding date. The marriage date is more important than any other date in a person's life outside the day that they were born, in what Magi Astrology has proven in its research, massive amounts of research, and what the ancients have known and always practiced. It's just that apparently a lot of astrologers today are not aware of the Magi Society's very massive and very groundbreaking research. In fact, I know there's a lot of astrologers that aren't aware of it, and it's very problematic because I've used some of the best astrologers in the world, some of which have advised governments and very important people, and they are wholly and sorely not aware of the great, important, massive amounts of research the Magi Society has done, and I've paid for it personally, and I've learned painful lessons from that. So there's several reasons why I'm making this video and sharing this with you, those of you that are curious about astrology, or those of you that might be very serious professional astrologers. And so, you know, in thinking that, well, if Prince William or Kate were in the room with me right now, as an astrologer, as an intuitive astrologer, I would strongly advise, out of love and kindness and respect, that this wedding date, for all intents and purposes, be moved, simply moved, to a much more powerful and magical day with no Sun trine Pluto aspect, and with no, you know, Saturn opposition Venus, and certainly without the progression that this wedding chart of April 29th, 2011 at 10 a.m. in London sets up. It's very problematic. I do not give this marriage more than, 6 to 7 years, maybe, without the biggest problems, because it sets up the progressions of Saturn opposition Mars. It's going to T-square with Avesta. And it's already such a problem that I've already written and published on my Facebook anyway, an astrological analysis and prediction of big problems in the world in terms of war and belligerency, especially between East and West, possibly, and could even spark up more conflict within the UN over matters just in general, energetically speaking. So this wedding sets up a progression that in 6 or 7 years will lead into that energy. It will birth into this. It will progress into this. Going back to the old Bible verse, Old Testament verse of, you know, and God said a day for a year for a day. These are simple astrological principles and metaphysical facts of life and being on this planet. So lovingly and with respect to them and the royal family, or to anyone seriously looking at wedding astrology and wedding dates, this date should be moved. It should not be used. Absolutely not. And again, we're skipping midpoints entirely here. I'm not even getting into midpoints. I have every possibility and capability and the understanding to do that, but I'm not. It's already problematic enough, and enough has been said on that topic. So, but as I was saying earlier on my Facebook, when I posted the Alex Jones video about the royal secrets of the royal wedding exposed, and the Deke Jackson FKN News about no end in sight in Iraq and Libya, etc., or Afghanistan, etc., it ended with Kennedy speaking, and Deke Jackson's video did, and this really reminded me not only of what Kennedy was actually saying, which was super important, incredibly important in the video that I posted up on my Facebook page, but it reminded me of the tragedies that the Kennedys had, some of the Kennedys. And they were either often married on a sun-enhanced Pluto day. It's great power, but always ends tragically. Or one I know for sure took presidential inauguration on such a day. So these matters are in terms of astrology and astrological theory and astrological research, quite serious. And I was inspired to put this up because I'd just come back from a medical office. I got a simple blood test done that I get from time to time, and was checking on some things, and there it was on the television, all about the royal wedding. And then secondly, certainly this is something we practice and research and do for people, and this is one of the biggest teachings of the Magi Society, is the importance of a wedding date. It's profoundly important, and modern research proves it unquestionably. And the other reason is because one of our friends on Facebook had said, hey, people are talking a lot of unkindness and unpleasantness about the royal wedding, and the people should be more nice and maybe enjoy, or something like this. So on balance and on a helpful note, entirely with good intention, absolutely, I share this video and this knowledge, in my opinion, and my astrological research concerning this wedding date. I would hope that it would be a blessing and a blessed time. But for the rest of us, it's certainly something to know and to understand. You can read more, and I highly and strongly recommend that you do, in the Magi Astrology websites and books about magical wedding dates and marriage dates, because it's the most important, one of the more important, if not the most important thing that you'll do in life. And the ancient priests of old certainly knew and understood this truth. Again, these truths are evident even in the Bible, for those that understand truly what they're reading, what was put there by wise ones of old and the adepts of the earliest ages. So I'm going to close with that, and I would just, for the royal family's benefit and out of kindness, love, and wisdom, I would strongly suggest that that wedding date be delayed and put off until later in this year at minimum, where there's going to be a much less problematic astrological time, and much more favorable, much more magical time for such important life endeavors. Again, I'm Reverend Dr. Michael Vanderpool, and you can see more about me at my eBay OMSH Books and Services store, or at www.omsh.net. That's omsh.net. Or also on YouTube, and my username on YouTube is TIGR7170. So, and special thanks as always to the Magi Society and to the people that watch my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe below if you're watching me through YouTube or my Facebook. Feel free to leave comments, and you can contact me through my website if you need astrological research or have questions on this most fascinating and helpful practical science of life and light. Peace.